Okay, I think we're just about got everything set here. Sweet. Okay, I think this is streaming now, so I guess the biggest thing I want to check is my sound, because I know it like records the sound from the game, but then it also records the sound off the speakers of my mic. So I'm just gonna kind of disable that, but hopefully you can still hear in-game stuff. So yeah, here we are. Let me grab this. So we're back in the Baron again, because, well, it's pretty fun playing to fly, and I don't really know what we're doing today. I'm just gonna kind of make it up as we go. So yeah, let me minimize this. I think that's all set. And okay, so we're here in DCA, Reagan National, my former home airport. I really like this place. Wow, we have like no scenery going on. Let's see if we can't change that real quick. Let's see, that was rendering options? Yeah, here we go. What do we got? Objects. What? Default. And we don't care about trees. Siberian winter. Very nice. Let's give that a shot. Okay. I didn't realize it would take away all that, but yeah. So I tried the live stream yesterday evening just to kind of see if it would work, and I think I got it all set. That other day was my first time. Oh, no, don't crash on me just yet. It hasn't even been like 3 minutes. Oh, okay, I think we're good. That scared me there for a second. I think there's a slight lag on the live stream, but okay, there we go. That looks much better. So yeah, I think we'll just take off, fly around, talk a little bit, and we'll just kind of go from there. So, like I said, we're here at Washington, D.C., one of my home airports. I actually did a lot of my original flight training in Leesburg in the special use airspace. So that was, I don't know what the correct word, I wouldn't say fun. It was intense, definitely intense, because the airspace up there at DC is it's very strict. You got the freeze area, special use airspaces, they call it. And the Leesburg training area is like really the only area that you can kind of get away with just like flight training and just, you know, practicing your flying, but other than that, it's kind of a pain. So yeah, hopefully the frames hold up here. We're gonna be getting in the clouds here in a second anyway. But yeah, I'm trying to find a good balance between like the scenery and the lighting, because you can normally have one, but usually the other one's kind of, well, crappy. So let's see if we can.
I didn't get that.
Oh, thanks, Alexa. She's always there for me. So yeah, let's go ahead and start to climb out here, and I think we're breaking through like a ton of prohibited airspace right now, but I don't really care. I'm just trying to get a little bit higher, a little bit outside of the area, so that my frames will kind of come back. Yeah. back on. It looked like my sound stopped there. It was kind of going in and out. But I think I got it set back. So anyway, I figured we'll take off out of here. I'll get back up into the clouds here, and we'll go ahead and do like a quick IFR flight, maybe down to Virginia Beach. I've also been there a bunch of times. I really enjoyed it, and I haven't flown in there yet, so I thought it'd be really cool to do. I'm actually gonna have to bring these down. Let's bring these down. Yeah, I need to find like a good medium between the scenery and whatnot, because I used to get like really good scenery even in like an MD-80, and then now I'm just getting like nothing. It's awful. But probably should have set this up prior, but we'll just kind of go with it. So yeah, do a quick IFR flight, DCA to Virginia Beach. I can't even remember what their code is. I just pull it up in the computer here real quick. Oh, here we go. Cool. I have no idea if that's any better or not. Nope, don't think it is. I think we're just going to have to get out of DC, then it'll kind of calm down. You'd think like if you weren't looking at the scenery it would be okay, but I don't know, I guess it's like busy trying to load everything. The last few videos I did, I think that was in an MD-80. I was in like Los Angeles, like at sunset, and my frames were fine, so I have no idea. Oh, the frames just shut back up right there, so cool. Maybe it is just DC. Anyway, so I figured we'll fly down here and I'll kind of sit and talk about what I've been doing, where I've been. Oh my god, that looks ominous. Wow. Okay, the one thing like I really hated about FSX was like you couldn't really go into the clouds like this. So I'm really happy that X-Plane does that, because like in FSX you just like you'd like start to go in it, but then it just like dissipate immediately unless you're just like in full IFR. I don't know, maybe I wasn't setting up the setting it up correctly, but okay, I have to switch hands here. Let's see. Yaw dampener, autopilot on, heading bug. Over here, please. Oh, okay, that's cool. Sweet. And let's get that trim going. Oh god. So, up. No, up. That's the opposite. I swear I sometimes know what I'm doing. Oh god. Don't wait too much, I'm trying. Let it come back. Let it come back here. Okay, temperatures. What do we got here for the temperatures? I recorded a awesome IFR flight from where was it? Somewhere in Arizona to somewhere in Colorado, and it was really cool because in the video I was saying like I haven't flown IFR in quite a while, so it was really nice to like get back in it, and I figured the best way to do that would just be to like, oh wow, that's pretty. Sorry about the frame rate. It should get better as we start climbing out here. But yeah, I was saying I hadn't flown instruments in so long, so I figured it'd be really cool to practice practice in X-Plane, and I just did some really cool stuff. It was the first time I've done a climb and hold before, because we were out west, and you know, mountains are a thing out there. Let's see, we did that. We took off flying, and it's about 200 miles, so it was pretty quick for a Baron. But the thing is, I didn't realize that the temperature was like 38 degrees at the ground, and for some reason I thought you had to like set up failures in X-Plane, and like you had to set up like icing and stuff like that, but apparently I had icing turned on or whatnot, because once I took off I was in the clouds immediately, and like we were halfway there, my speed just kept dropping and I couldn't hold altitude anymore, and I was like, what's going on? Like I feathered the prop, or I didn't feather them, but you know, I brought the props back to cruise, I had full power, my fuel was fine, I had the boost pumps on, and I was like, you know, what's going on? And then I was like, wait a second, it's like negative 20 outside, surely it can't be icing. So I go into the settings and I pull up the average temperature to like 80 degrees on the ground, and then sure enough, airspeed starts to come back, and I'm like, wow, that is insane. So yeah, that's that was a little bit of that story right there. What's that? Oh, that looks like my door was open there for a second. I was like so confused there. Okay, again, I don't know if you guys can hear the sounds of FSX, or of X-Plane. I can't, because I turned it off, I just have my voice on there, so I don't know if you guys can actually hear that. Still getting used to this whole live streaming thing, but we'll make it work. Turn off those landing lights now. I really wish I could get rid of these yokes. I read a bunch of forums, there's like a button up at the top left that I cannot find. And they're supposed to be, if you click the base of it, it's supposed to do something too. Yeah, it's still not doing anything, so back up there, and I tried. So right now we're just shooting straight south. We're not going to Cortez. We're not traveling 1,400 miles, I promise. I probably should go ahead and figure out the airport that we're going to, and I'll probably speed it up. But let's see, what do we got on our ground speed? 100? That's not bad. So if I can kind of figure out what heading, Beach, airport information, and it looks like we are going. Is it not going to tell me here? Never a dull moment. Norfolk. Okay, this should not take that long. Okay, we'll talk and fly. So, looks like 42 VA is what we got here, so kind of skip all the crazy stuff and just go straight into let's see, go direct to this 42 VA. I hope that's right, but perfect. Okay, that's a lot quicker than I thought it would be. So let's hit over GPS, switch to nav mode, and there we go. Let's just get up to 10,000 feet, and we'll get the power set, we'll get our props pulled back, and we should be there in no time. Jump outside real quick, because that was really pretty what it was earlier. You know, the clouds sometimes look awful in this game, but sometimes they look really, really nice too. Especially like the sunrise and sunsets. So, you know, it looks like we're getting closer and closer to our critical angle here. But, we'll set altitude hold. Okay, there we go. Got our speeds getting set. I think I have a hotkey here for my yes, I do. Sweet. So let's bring those back. Let's see what we got. So 125, 126. Can we get to 130? If we get to 130, it'll be just about right at an hour to get there. Sweet. Okay. We're going a lot faster than I expected. That's awesome. So let's zoom out here so you can kind of see where we're going. I really wish this had, like, you can set it to north facing automatically. Just cannot figure out. 530 system. I've used plenty of those, but apparently I don't know how to use this one. Okay, so yeah, I figured this would be a little bit of a story time while we're flying here, because it's most likely going to be dark by the time we get there. I can't remember if I set it to sunrise or sunset, but seeing as the sun sets in the west, and that's the east, probably sunset. I wonder if there's a way to lock the time. I'd really like to land it during this time too. But yeah, anyway, so talking a little bit, little story time here. I'm just about done with college. I have like 2 classes left. I wasn't so awesome in scheduling my classes, so my last semester I have 2 classes. And that kind of blows because, you know, you want to be out, you know, living life and doing all that cool stuff, but, you know, you're still stuck in school. But thankfully they're not really hard. The cool thing, back in the spring I did my jet transition training in a CRJ 200. We did like 25 hours in the sim, 50 hours of ground, just going over systems and, well, pretty much everything about the CRJ, which, that thing is like a brick. I mean, not as bad as the Beach 1900, which was the last thing we had to do in the sim. So the CRJ was a lot better. It was like our capstone course. You get in the sim and you work with the crew. It's all that crew resource management stuff. It's pretty neat. Let's see. Yeah, we got to do not a lot of hand flying, but we got to do a few emergencies, like a rapid descent for like a decompression or something, and that was a lot of fun. 'Cause we were like IFR like 30,000 feet. And then all of a sudden, like, something explodes, and you got to throw on your oxygen mask. It was really cool in that aspect. And my partner, thankfully, he was a really, really cool guy. He had actually been flying citations for about a year. So when he came over to the jet, you know, he'd already been typed in a citation. So he was already on the ball with, you know, how your upper altitude aerodynamics work and your high speed stalls and whatnot. So he was pretty much on it. Now the funny thing was, I hadn't flown a jet in real life, and he hadn't really worked much on the FMS, the little computer control panel thing that you like type in all your information on those bigger jets. So he hadn't used that, but I had done so much of it back in my FSX and my X-Plane days that I pretty much knew all the buttons and like all the workarounds. So we kind of complemented each other there. So I was able to do all the electric stuff, and he was able to take care of the flying and go over some of the aspects of like rate of descent, when we need to start doing X and Y, which surprisingly the computer did a lot of that. Like we'd have to get set up in a hold. You can just type in, or you can just click hold. There's a button just for holds. You can do left, right, you can do DME or time distance. It was fantastic. I thought that was the coolest thing. The CRJ systems are really impressive, and we flew a CRJ 200, which that was kind of an older model, but most of the guys going to the regionals would be going that way. So I don't mind learning it, but I'm not planning on going to the regionals, so I just kind of like took it all in. Was like, yeah, that's great, and just memorized all the speeds for our loft sessions and whatnot. And then once we passed that, we just kind of stopped there. But it was a great experience overall. Got like I said, the jet transition course, which was really cool. And yeah, what I'm thinking is in December, when graduation rolls around, I'm hoping to start on a 135 charter company that do scheduled. They're a scheduled charter 135 operation, and they fly all over the United States. And I think that'd be really, really cool to do, especially just getting started. You fly for a few hundred hours, but it's mostly in these trainer planes, Cessnas, your Arrows, but you don't really get a lot of time to move up. The biggest thing I've actually flown was a twin Otter, and I got about 3 hours in it, and that was more of a transitioning course than anything, which was but it was really fun. We flew skydivers all day, which that actually got really old really quick. We did like 25 flights, just straight up, straight down. It got it was fun being able to like kill the engines and just like spin all the way down, but you do that like 15 times, and then you kind of start to get a little tired of it, because you're talking to center and you're telling them when you're gonna jump, and then but anyway, so it's really cool to be able to go from something like a Cessna to a Pilatus, or even for some of my friends, a CRJ or an ERJ. There's a few YouTubers I know. I watch Swain Martin. I hope I pronounced his name right. He does a lot of flying. He doesn't do any sim stuff. He just does actual real world flying. He's up in North Dakota, which I have a lot of family out of North Dakota, which is kind of funny. It's like such a small world, but he has a YouTube channel where he flies, and it's all real life stuff, and I'm just slightly ahead of him college wise, but he's way ahead of me in flying cool planes wise. But what he's doing, he kind of does like I think they're part 90, I think they're 91 or 135 charter as well, but what they do, they also carry passengers around in a Grand Caravan, which I think that'd be really cool. But I think he's down in Hawaii where they do it, and it's a little expensive down there, so I'm not you're gonna have to kind of figure out what you're gonna do if you really do want to live down there. But yeah, there's a lot more opportunities for pilots, especially us young pilots who are just getting into the profession. You come out excuse me, you come out with your associate's degree or your bachelor's degree, and you got 400, 500, 600 hours, depending if you went straight into teaching for a little while, which is what most of us end up doing. We end up getting our CFI or CFII. A few of my friends, I think, only had like 2 of them go for their MEI, their multi-engine instructor course, because we just don't have a lot of multi-engines down here, and it's really sad, but you have to practically be a multi-engine instructor in order to rent a multi-engine plane, which, I can understand insurance and all that, but it really sucks for us, because not only is it hard to afford a twin-engine plane, but we also have to go spend about a few $1,000 in training, go for the check ride, just to rent a multi-engine plane, which costs twice as much as a single engine, sometimes even more than that. It's difficult. And a lot of my friends who are getting ready for their ATP CTP course, it's the ground / simulator instruction. It's 25 hours you have to do to take your ATP exam after the Colgan Air incident. So they want at least 25 hours of multi-time, but if you finish your just your regular multi license, you get about 10 hours to 13 hours. That's around average. So you're still short a good 12, 13 hours, which that 13 hours or even 15 hours for some of these guys is a lot. That's a lot of money, and that's not even counting an MEI going for a check ride. So it's very tough for them. But okay, just kind of switching gears here, jumping back in. Looks like our airport doesn't have an approach, so I might just shoot this visually. I hope you guys don't mind. I mean, I could break out, like, go to Norfolk or somewhere. I know they have an instrument approach, but I mean, most likely the visibility is going to be fine. But yeah. So I've got a lot of cool stories to share. I don't want to like throw them all at you here, but I'm thinking doing a live stream once I can finally get everything set up, find a good quiet time, and have everything set up. And I'll try to get like a schedule going, maybe like every Sunday at 12 o'clock Pacific. I guess that's what, 3 o'clock Eastern? Yeah, I think there's 3 time zones there. But something like that, just to like share, talk stories, because I really want to like try to not ignore you guys, and I want to start making some videos, kind of just talking. And I really miss doing the flight simulator stuff. I do a lot of flight simulator flying. It's just not on camera. It's just really just to help me with my instrument currency, but it's a lot of fun to fly instruments, and then you can kind of start adding in some extreme weather and just making it just like really hard on yourself, because there's only a few flight simulator people on YouTube who can actually fly IFR correctly, because that is an art. I mean, it's an entire license, so I would definitely like to add to that. So I see that we have KNTU coming up here. I think I might switch to that airport instead, because it looks pretty close. I just can't remember what that airport is. So that was KNTU. Okay, yeah, I'd like to find a Norfolk, because I know that, okay, Virginia Beach, Ocean, okay, apparently they have their own. If I had to guess, they do probably have an approach. Perfect, they got a GPS approach, because ain't no one got time for those VOR approaches. They don't have an easy ILS either. So let's see, what approach do we want to do? I'd like to do like a 2-3, so maybe we could fly out over the ocean a little bit. Is it 2-3 left or 2-3 right? I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm sure one's longer than the other, but 2-3 left, why not? And I don't have the plates on me, so I'm just gonna do vectors, and we'll kind of do like a mix of visual and instrument flying. Like this isn't gonna be an actual real IFR flight. I'm just kind of being assisted by my GPS. So let me go ahead and activate that. Nav should throw me over, not that way. Why are you're turning the wrong way? Okay, so let's proceed procedures. No. I will figure this out. There we go. So there is my KNTU. So procedure. So look, we have the approach 23. No. Actually, let's go to our flight plan, and let's go direct. No. Okay. No. Clear. Direct. Enter. And are we actually? Oh, well. Okay, that makes sense. We are already going direct. I just don't know why it pulled us out that far. The nav is still on, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, it's getting really dark, so I'm going to take time. Let's go that back. Wow, there we go. Suddenly looks a lot less crappy. Perfect. Kind of wanted that sunset landing, so let's see if we can do that. See, I have my GPS set. Figure out how to use this one day. So that whole mess of things right there is my approach, and it says we're flying directly toward it, but I don't believe that. So let's see what we can do. Isn't there a way to like speed this up? Shift something, I think. I don't know. I'm kind of scared to try to do that right now. Okay, what I was hoping to do is, so Virginia Beach, obviously, is a beach. It's located, right on the water. I don't know where this airport is, but if it's anywhere near Virginia Beach, then I was kind of thinking if we came in on like a 2-3 something, that's the closest thing we could get to trying to fly out over the water and then come back in. Kind of like flying to Destin, Florida, if anyone's ever seen or been there. They have a GPS approach that actually sends you out over the ocean, which is really cool. I've flown that in real life only. Well, I've been there a few times, but I've only flown that approach once, and I broke out over the water. It was really cool. I'll have to share that story. I got a bunch of pictures too. So yeah, I guess I can't. I'm trying to think if there's like a way I can kind of speed this up to maybe like cut into the approach, but I don't have the approach plate with me, and I don't want to start guessing at like what I need to do. So I might be able to cheat just a little bit here. I'm gonna set the heading bug back to where, actually I'm gonna keep it where it is. Switch over to heading mode, and I'm just gonna go direct there. And then maybe I'll spiral down or cut across midfield and then swing back. So we're just under 30 minutes now. Flight's going a lot quicker than I thought. I mean, we started with about an hour? Yeah, I think we had about an hour in. And yeah, I completely skipped all the pre-flight planning. We're just gonna kind of make it up as we go. So I think that looks really cool. But anyway, back to, I think, the earlier story I was saying. I'm hoping to graduate here and do some kind of 135 work, fly some passengers around, or cargo, or both, for a little while, and just kind of build up my time. And, I don't really know where I want to go just yet, just as long as I can kind of go to some cool places and, see some cool things. I really like the traveling part. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love flying, but, the traveling part of it too, seeing the world, meeting new people, exploring towns. I think all that's, like, really, really cool. And I know a lot of my friends who really want to do that, and I also know a lot of my friends who are just like, yeah, I just want to work for Delta. I don't really care how I get there, and so they're just gonna take the regionals and just kind of stay there. And like, well, that's, I mean, I can't tell them how to live their life, right? So yeah, I mean, if they want to do that, that's their prerogative. Okay, so it looks like we're kind of got a little breakup here. So it kind of looks like we're in a hurricane. It kind of like it looks like it's high at the top, and then it kind of gets low down here. Oh, that'd be really cool to do like a hurricane flight. I actually had a guy call me, wanted me to fly his plane down to pick up his family in Florida and fly him back up back when oh, what was that big, was it Irene? I don't know. It was that hurricane that like went up the east coast of Florida and like wrecked a lot of the east coast. But yeah, he called our flight school and he's like, hey, I need a CFI to take my plane. He was the owner of the plane. He's like, yeah, I need, he didn't call me, he called one of my friends. I was sitting just talking with all the other instructors, and then my friend walks out and he's like, hey, can one of you guys fly down to Florida? I'm like, isn't there a hurricane like just right off the coast? And he's like, well, no, it's like it's more inland. Like he needs you just to like fly down there and pick up his family and fly him back. And I was like, let me call him. So I pulled up 4Flight, started looking for any. Well, first I was checking the weather and seeing where it was, because it would be about a 4-hour flight there and a 4-hour flight back. So I mean that's 8 hours, and this was in the evening. So I mean we'd be flying well into the AM by the time we got back. Before 5 a.m. So that immediately you're thinking fatigue is one thing, and two, I would be flying a plane that I hadn't ever flown before. Now it was in the Piper family, and I could have figured it out. And, not a big deal there, but it was a little intimidating because I pull up 4Flight and I see the bands of rain that are kind of coming along, and they're getting closer to the airport. They aren't over it just yet, but they're picking up some speed, and I was like, so I'm gonna be flying single pilot in an airplane I've never flown, IFR, to an airport I've never been to pick up some people. Probably have to get some fuel along the way, so I really hope the airport doesn't close down, or at least have services until I get there, have time to fuel, and then fly back. And then by then, it'd be 2 a.m. and I'd be flying back again, single pilot, IFR. And if something were to happen, an instrument malfunction, not only had I been flying all day that day, it'd be into the next day. I'd be completely fatigued with strangers who, they couldn't fly. I mean, I could try to teach them how to, hold the yoke long enough for me to try to troubleshoot an issue. But, all of those things kind of combined. And don't get me wrong, I thought it'd be really neat, hey, I can fly down to Florida, and, that by itself is really cool, because, you build flight time, you get to fly a new plane, you get to see a new place, all that's really cool, but, you have to kind of weigh the risks there. And so I called the owner back, and we were talking about it, and, I was just telling him straight, I'd been up all day, obviously, and I've already had a few flights today. This was, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, so, the sun was setting in about an hour. I'd have to drive an hour north to the international airport to pick up his plane, to then fly 4 hours south, and then, time's also an issue because you have a hurricane coming north while you're going south, so, and, God help us if we got vectored or placed into a hold, because then you got to think about fuel requirements, your alternates, your minimums, how's the weather going to be changing. You got a big low pressure front, so you're constantly have to be adjusting your altimeter. I just said a low pressure front, didn't I? I meant to say a low pressure system. So there's just a million things to think about. Now, had I known about this maybe that morning, I could have canceled my flights. I could have sat, got in the plane, checked through the systems, got a really good flight plan set up. But just springing that on all at once, I figured that wouldn't be such a good idea. So when I called him back, I told him, hey, I'm really sorry. I would love to take that trip, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel safe taking a new plane to pick up people I don't know, single pilot IFR near a hurricane. So I explained that to him. I said, there's another instructor here. He has a little over 1,000 hours. He's a double I, he's an MEI. He's a serious instructor too. He has a ton of different ratings. So I'm like, I can give you his information, and you can you can call him up. And a few guys might be thinking, so why didn't the owner just fly his plane down? Well, you don't have to have a pilot's license to buy a plane, which is very scary, but it's true. Now, he did have a pilot's license, but all he had was a private pilot license, and that's that's kind of where it got him, because he knew that the airport was already forecasted at marginal, and that was 5 hours before we were going to get there. So most likely it'd be IFR by the time we got there. So he knew that. At least I figured he knew that. That's why he called us. He wanted someone more experienced to fly for him. And so I say all that to say I ended up declining the trip. I was like, I'm sorry. I know your family's important, and I really hope they get out, but there's no sense sacrificing my life, the plane, and possibly their life if I make it there and we have trouble getting back. And from what I heard, he ended up going himself, which is incredibly scary for a private pilot to fly 300 miles or however far south to go pick up his family. But from what I heard, he switched airports to a little further north that was still VFR. At least I certainly hope so. And I haven't seen anything on the news in like the past month or whenever that happened about a small plane crash, so I assume he's okay. I think the plane's still up there at the airport, so yeah, I assume everything went okay. But yeah, that's so yeah, those are just like the fun little stories you get to hear, and I really like experiencing those, not only for the the story aspect of it, but it's really good reminders of why we have the aeronautical decision making, why that's a thing, why we study the psychology. If you've ever taken a written test for a pilot's license, you have to study the the airman attitudes, or the tendencies, the macho, the of course now that I bring them up I can't think of any of them. It's like the rules don't apply to me, or I'm invincible, or resignation. Okay, now I'm starting to remember them now. It's been a little while since I've gone over those, but it's just those things. Like AOPA has a bunch of different articles talking about why it's good to stop, think, and they have like a good checklist to follow. It's really kind of cool, which I've actually used that checklist. I've had to use it once, and that was kind of, which, if you have to use that checklist to determine if you should fly, you probably shouldn't fly. But at the time I was a private pilot down in a foreign state in a plane I had like 50 hours in, and there was like storms popping up left and right. It was absolutely crazy. Oh, actually keep that on 121. But yeah, that's another one of those stories. Actually, I might have enough time just to go ahead and tell that story. I really hope the sound's coming through. Like, I have no idea if the sound's coming. Actually, I'm gonna test this real quick. But yeah, that's okay, sweet. I heard my voice, so I think that's coming along pretty good. I don't know if it's loud enough, so I'm gonna bring that mic just a tad closer to my face. Okay, looks like we got about 70 some miles left. So this should be enough time to actually tell that story of when I needed to use that checklist. So that checklist that I'm referring to is those, I think it was AOPA or ASA or King's School. It's one of those flight schools. It's should I fly, and then it says like, have you gotten 8 hours of rest? Are you familiar with the airplane? Are you familiar with the area? How long have you been flying? Is it IFR? Is it VFR? And then you kind of just like go through all the check, and then if you have over a certain amount of points, it says if you should or shouldn't. I think like score over like a 15, it's like, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. But if it's like anything under that, it's like, yeah, go for it. So I got my private pilot license a few years ago, and to celebrate, me and a friend flew down to the beach in Destin, Florida. So we took a Cessna. It took like 3 hours to get down there. It wasn't very economical, but just the fact that I can take a plane and go fly it anywhere. We just thought that was awesome. So we flew down, and we called the briefer that morning, and he said, "Oh yeah, sky's clear. It's a good VFR day. There's no fronts. The isobars pretty stable. The wind should be fine. Your weather should be good." And he was like, "Yeah, guys, go for it. Have fun." I'm like, "Okay." So we get going, and we're about 30 minutes from arrival, and all of a sudden a huge line of cumulonimbus, those thunderstorm clouds, just popped all right in front of us. Kind of looked like these, but a little bit more puffy, and they went up just a little bit more. And I looked over at my friend who wasn't a pilot, and I was like, we can't fly through the clouds. So I was talking to the controller, and I told him, "Hey, we got a bunch of clouds. Can we like descend or go around them? Because if not, we're gonna be flying through these." And he was like, "Yeah, you guys are cleared to descend. We can't see the precipitation on our radar, so you just do what you have to." So we started our descent. We made it into Destin. We got a crew car, made it to, I think we went to like the Jimmy Buffett restaurant, because obviously we're at a beach, so we got to do that. And we were sitting there, and then all of a sudden it just started pouring. It was just one of those like the summer afternoon storms. It was just like a massive downpour. And we were like, "Oh, I'm so glad we made it." We had made it with plenty of time, but we didn't realize that we would be having to deal with that. So that in itself was a little scary, but we were like, well, we're on the ground now. So we stayed the afternoon. It was like 5 o'clock, and we're getting ready to leave. And I pull up I go to the computer, because we didn't have iPads back then. Well, I mean, they did have iPads back then, but I did not have one, and they weren't very popular to use. ForeFlight was in like very early beta, so it wasn't very popular as well. So I was over at the computer, and I was just seeing these tiny little storms just pop up left and right all the way north to where we're going, and I was thinking to myself, like, I want to get the plane home today, because I got things to do tomorrow. Maybe if I can kind of go around these storms, maybe I can kind of go this way. And I was just trying to think of like basically doing like all these S-turns around these storms to try to like get through this maze to get back home. And it was another 3-hour flight, and I ended up calling another one of my friends who was a commercial pilot, and I gave him the briefing, and I showed him a picture of what I was looking at, and I was like, "Do you think I should do this?" And I'm really glad I called him, because he said, no, I absolutely don't think you should do this, because, you're a private pilot, you have like, 60, 70 hours, I think I had at the time. I just got my license. So, now you're going to try to manage to get your way through these storms, and, even by the time you get going, it's going to be dark by the time you land. So you're not going to be able to see these clouds pop up. and you know, we didn't have radar in our Cessna, so you know, he's like, you know, that's not a good idea. And so to my chagrin, I think that's the correct word, I ended up staying in Destin for like another 3 hours. Now then it was nighttime, but the storms had subsided because, you know, the sun had gone down and it was getting quiet. So called up the approach, got my clearance. Of course, we're VFR, but I got flight following. We took off and we started up north, and you know, Destin's airport is on an island, so as soon as you take off, there's nothing but water on both sides, so thus there's no lights. So we took off and we turned out to our heading, which I had requested direct, and well, I mean, we were VFR, so it didn't really matter what I requested, but you know, we started taking off, we started climbing up, and then I just lost sight of the ground. I mean, it happened, you know, it was almost instant. You know, by the time I turned out, I'd switched over departure to center. I'd looked down and I couldn't see anything, and I had no idea if I was in the clouds or if I wasn't, because I looked up and it was black, and I looked down and it was black, and you know, that was kind of terrifying. I'm not gonna lie there. I was very freaked out, because I was thinking, okay, you know, now I have to solely rely on my instruments, and you know, at the time I didn't have an instrument rating. All I had was the 3 hours required for a private pilot. But you know, I stuck to my attitude indicator. Every now and then I'd see like a bundle of lights on the ground, which I assumed was a city, and I was like, okay, so that city must be, you know, Huntsville or Birmingham or Albany or, you know, wherever. So I ended up having to just follow those lights, and I talked to centers, and I was telling them, hey, you know, I don't know if you guys can see any rain, but you know, if you can, please give me a heads up, because you know, we're flying blind up here. And thankfully it was a really quiet evening. I think it was like a Thursday night, so I mean, there was nothing going on. I think we were like, there was like 8 planes that our controller was working that evening, so I mean, you know, he had plenty of time to help us out. So we well, spoiler alert, you know, we made it back alive, obviously, but my friend ended up falling asleep like within 30 minutes of takeoff, and I was like, oh, you're kidding me. Like, I'm trying to work the radios, get my GPS set up. We had like a 430, that's it. A downgraded version of this GPS, actually. So, you know, I was trying to tune in VORs and just, you know, make sure I had a backup just in case, you know, something happened, and I really did get spatially disoriented. But regardless, you know, we made it back at like 3 o'clock in the morning because, you know, I took it slow. I had it leaned back, and we were just, you know, following the roads for a while. Never quiet. But yeah, so I followed the roads all the way back, and yeah, that was it. It was a very, very stressful night / morning, but it was a lot of fun. And actually, my friend, you know, I woke him up before we landed and just kind of talked to him, you know, tell him, you know, where we are, what I'm about to do, you know, just in case something was to go wrong. You know, I don't want him waking up during the emergency. You know, I'll tell him, you know, hey, here's where we're located. I got the airport right up there, but, you know, if we jump into the clouds or something, you know, I want an extra pair of eyes here to help me out. So my friend that was with me, he ended up wanting to learn how to fly because of that event. 'Cause he was like, wow, you were so cool going through that. And I was like, cool? I was, like, scared out of my mind. But he's like, no, that was so, you were so cool, you're so composed. I'm like, well, I guess it was because it was so dark, you couldn't see my facial expressions, but I mean, you know, it was like a 18-year-old and an 18-year-old flying a plane in like the middle of the complete darkness over the Everglades, and I'm sorry, not the Everglades, over swamps, and you know, it was crazy. But anyway, I ended up getting my CFI a few years down the road. He had to go to accounting because He couldn't afford to learn how to fly and go through all the courses because flying's expensive. So unfortunately, you know, he said, well, I'm just going to go to accounting and I'll just kind of learn how to fly on the side. So when I got my CFI license, he was my very first student. He's actually had his license from the time of this video just about a year. And you know, I still fly with him every now and then. You know, he's got his private pilot license now, and you know, it's just really cool to see that build up. You know, you watch someone fly, and then you yourself want to learn how to fly. It's just really cool, like how I was able to teach him, but we both experienced that together. And I taught him a lot differently than my instructor taught me, because you know, once you get your license, you're gonna want to fly. You're gonna want to do these cross countries, and you know, the weather's, you know, like this. It's not always going to be good, and you know, when it's not, you have to fly the plane. You know, you can't just take a break and get out. So that was our crazy adventure down to Destin. Like I said, I got a bunch of crazy adventure flights, but I try to keep them to a minimum. So let's jump back over here now that story time's up. It looks like we got our airport just, well, I guess it's south of us. We're north of it. I have this GPS left approach, which we were talking about just a little earlier. I probably will do like a mixture of like visual and instrument flying here. I'm probably just going to hit the waypoints to get through the clouds, and then once we break out, I'll just fly it down. Obviously, well, to me, the landing's the funnest part, so you know, this is pretty much the climax of the video. But yeah, this was a good time to get some stories out of the way and talk a little bit and kind of reconnect with everyone, because I know I'm kind of like in and out of YouTube basically. So here is our airport. I don't have the approach plate for our GPS approach because, like I said, I'm just using the GPS just to hit our waypoints. And speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and switch us back over to nav here. So we were on heading mode, right? So we got our heading selector right there. Let's throw us back over to nav mode. And what are we going to do? Okay, so it's pulling us off here. I'm not sure, because I set it for vectors, so maybe if I activate that approach, what are you gonna do? Okay, that's cool. So Jagni is our initial approach fix, I guess you could say, but for some reason it's like really not wanting to fly that, and I'm not 100% sure why. So we're going to fly it manually, because, you know, we're pilots after all. We can do that. So Jagni is going to be our initial approach fix. I'm going to start descending down here. We're up here just about 10,000 feet. So I'm going to start doing a little step down procedure. I know the area around Virginia Beach well enough to know that there's nothing really out here that high. I mean, it's obviously right next to the ocean. So let's go ahead and let's start dropping down. Let's get about 2,000 feet lower than we are now, and bring back that power. Actually, I'm gonna get the power in because, well, we'll get there sooner. So begin our initial descent. I'm not following any checklist, as you guys are aware. This is pretty much just like an informal, just flying, talking, having fun kind of thing. So anything I do, please don't use for an actual reference when you're flying like the Baron or something. I'm just kind of doing this for fun. So let's sneak down here. What lights could we turn on or turn off in this case? So don't need the taxi light on. I really don't want to have to bother with any of this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get it on all at once. It's gonna be my luck, I'm gonna forget like half of these things, so if I just get it on right now, get all the lights set up. So we're about 13 minutes away. I'm gonna try to speed that up just a little bit here. I'm gonna hit our initial approach fix, and I'm gonna use this kind of as like a step down procedure to help us out just to get through these clouds right here. Let's jump back outside actually. You need to go away. Okay, I'll move you. So, oh, sweet. We can see the coast right here. Awesome. Oh, that's really cool. It's like little marsh lands, just like it is out here near the Chesapeake Bay, where I've actually spent a lot of my younger years flying, or I'm sorry, not flying, just living out here. So it's a very beautiful area out here. So hopefully they model this area really good, which it looks like it does. So we're going to use this little step down procedure to get to this last overcast layer right here, and then we will shoot the visual approach, hopefully, weather permitting, into, let's see, this is Virginia Beach / Ocean something airport. That's all it told me. Let's see, whoops, wrong one, flight plan. So, yeah, we're going to hit Jagny, Waxel, Levin, and then runway. So I'm going to speed that up by probably cutting in between the first and the second approach, or skipping the initial approach fix and just kind of making Waxel or Levin our first and final approach fix, because I really just want to look at how beautiful the scenery is. So let's jump back in the plane just for a second here. Oh, there we go. So we got some lights. Nope, just kidding. That was the glare off of my glare shield. Cool. But we are starting to see a little bit more. So it looks like the clouds are dissipating once we get over the water. So that's good. Okay, we're about 1,000 feet lower than we were. Let's crank that up just a little bit. Whoa, not 1,000 feet. Okay, there, let's come back down. Okay, very nice, very nice. So I hope we can get like a nice sunset shot of us coming into land. I think that'd be really cool. Now, I'm still not sure, do you guys like the inside view when you land, or the outside view? When I first started flying, I only flew in the outside view, and I'd like try to land a 777 just by like looking outside, like at this camera angle. But you know, as I kind of flew more and more, I realized I need to screenshot that. I realized more and more that I really want to fly inside so I can see the instruments, and you know, it's really cool having like those cameras set up like just right on the dashboard or something. You know, it's really neat. Oh sweet, I think that is our airport actually. So that longer runway that we are, looks like we're just about parallel to, I'm sorry, perpendicular to, there's another airport right there, and I'm honestly not sure which one is which. So let's jump back inside and check out the map here. Whoops. I swear I will learn how to use this one day. Oops, there we go. Okay, so it looks like that first one is not ours. That's one of these. Let's see, that's either PHF or LFI. Huh. That's actually a much larger airport than I thought it would be. Okay. I'm really debating about making this approach just a little shorter and kind of cutting across. You know, maybe just setting up for this 45. We can just call this like a pretty much a right base right here. You can kind of see the rotating beacon right out there. So that's our airport. If it's not, that's our new airport, because that's right on the water, and I don't think we have any more airports that are that close to the water. So we still have that descent going, and I'm just gonna do a little bit more trim to get us down a little quicker, and our speed's going really good actually. Our time's dropped down to like 8 minutes, which is awesome. So I'll ship back outside so we can see if we can see that again. Okay, the clouds are kind of coming back, which really sucks here. Huh. What is that glowing? Is that a city out there? Oh, okay, that's an airport. Wow, or is that a bridge? Is that the Chesapeake Bay Bridge? There's a gigantic bridge out here, for those people that are not familiar with the Chesapeake area, that connects Virginia Beach over to the other Virginia/Maryland coast. So, you see, now I'm trying to figure out, maybe I want to hit one of these runway or one of these airports instead, because I'm pretty sure that's what we were looking at just a minute ago. Let's see, I'm pretty sure we lost, yep, we lost that airport. Unfortunately, we might not have a choice from what we might have to, let's keep that powerful. Yeah, can't find the airport anymore. We lost it all of a sudden. So, let's go ahead and, let's just continue where we were. We got, what, about 7 minutes left, and I can probably speed that up. But this will be kind of neat though, because we'll be going out over the water. So here's the bay. If I am correct, that is the bay, and then there's the ocean out here. Let me get rid of this GPS, and we'll go back out there again. So you got part of landmass here, part of the landmass here, and then this little bay opening right here, kind of where my plane's pointing. So that's the bay that opens up into the ocean. So that is, at least I'm pretty sure that's where we are. That's right where Virginia Beach is. It's right on the coast where the Bay Bridge is. And it looks like we got a little bit of virga or something going on right here. You see the clouds are kind of dropping down right there. It looks like it's raining just a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I have precipitation turned off, so... Wow, that is really pretty. You can get a lot of pretty shots here when you're like at the sunset, twilight, early twilight phase, which is really neat. That might be our airport right up there, to our, let's see, 2 o'clock-ish. So we're gonna skate under these clouds, and I think once we get under this layer, this will be our last layer. So yeah, oh, that's pretty. Take a screenshot of that. Perfect. So yeah, we won't hit that airport. We'll continue with where we're planning on going, and we'll hold here at 4,000 feet because I don't want to go any lower, especially being over the open water like that. Oh, that was almost perfect save. Okay, so unfortunately our speed's gonna kind of drop, and it looks like our visibility just went to hell. Good lord. Thank God I have my landing lights on. Whew, don't know what I'd do without those. Let's see. What is our final approach course? 233. Okay, we'll get that thrown in there. Let's see, am I on heading? Yeah, I'm on heading mode, so I'll use my course. I wonder if there's a VOR out here I can use to reference. Well, there's one, but it's way off the field. I wonder if I can intercept a radial off of one of these waypoints to use instead. Now that would be cool. Yeah, there's no reason to make this video harder than it, or this flight harder. Oh, okay, that's cool. Okay, now we went to like visibility times 0. Hey, that's cool. We're instrument rated pilots here, so nothing to worry about. We'll keep on going. I might get a little bit more of a descent going here, because I would love to break out. Now, the cool thing is we know, even without our approach plate, that these waypoints are over the water. So as long as we know, as long as we have our altimeter set correctly, we know that we won't hit anything and we won't crash into the ocean. So we're just about I think that's over a 90-degree intercept angle going on here. But I'm going to smoothly transition from, let's see, Jagney to Waxel. Yeah, so we're exactly 15 miles away, but we're doing almost 190 on the ground, which is pretty awesome for this little plane here. So let's see. So we got a hold as our missed approach, which is straight out, which is really nice. Non-standard, but you know that's still really nice. That all you have to do is just a straight climb out, because there's really not a lot of things you can hit out here. So that makes sense. So it looks like we'll about 4 minutes there. Let's not suspend that just yet. Let's go back outside and see if we can't see anything. I know that's probably a mute topic, but shocker. Wow, that looks really trippy. It's like you're flying through the Twilight Zone. Oh, did I break it? Okay, I'm just gonna jump back into the safety of the cockpit. Wow, okay, it is like pitch black now, so let's get a descent going. I have no idea what I set the clouds to. Actually, I didn't set any of the weather, I just changed the times. Weather, I just clicked low visibility and then just went flying. So, you'll probably see some clipping here. That I'm gonna assume is my strobe lights. So let's turn those off. Oh, very cool. That was my strobe lights. Wow, they modeled that really, really well. Because on these small planes where your wings are a lot shorter and your strobe lights are a lot closer, it really does reflect like that when you're flying through the clouds. So that's really neat. So I think the lowest I'm going to get to is probably about 2,500 feet. Any lower, then I just feel uncomfortable being out on open water in IFR conditions. But sweet, looks like we're about to break out, or it looks like we are breaking out right here. Even better. Wow, this is just a crappy day to fly. But you know, like I said, we're instrument-rated pilots. We can handle it. And visibility is gone again. Gosh darn it. Just when you think you start to know a guy. Oh, I do see something out there. Yeah, looks like we'll probably be following this approach. So, let's... If I hit nav, will you please go direct to Jagney? Please. Okay, fingers crossed. And it doesn't. I have no idea where it's trying to go. VTF? So, let's check our flight plan here. Procedures... Why you do this? Why? So I've already activated the approach, so I don't know why. Wow, we got 200 on the ground speed. Oh, that's why. We're still descending. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and cut it at 2,000. Which is probably somewhere close to where we need to be. So that's, you know, that's not too big of a deal. And 2,000. Cool. Oh, look at that. Still can't see anything. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, I'm gonna turn off heading mode. Actually, I'm just gonna turn off the autopilot altogether here. Let's see, let's get everything off. Actually, what if I do that? What if I turn on the approach? Is that gonna do anything? So, procedures, activate approach. Oh, did we just save the day? Approach mode for the win. Let's see. I don't think this is an LPV approach. I don't think we have any vertical guidance here. So in that case, down, 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 down. Okay, we hit Jagny. I guess we're doing good. Yeah, let's slow down a lot. Wow, you know, we're coming in here like at freaking almost 200 knots. So yeah, let's bring that airspeed down. Okay, there we go. This probably isn't the best way to do this, but, you know, whatever. So, first notch flaps in, and power comes in slowly. I guess since we hit our final approach fix, we can bring our gear down. Good news is there's the airport. Bad news, I think we're just a little lower. I was expecting us to come in at a little bit higher of an angle, but here we go. So there is beautiful Virginia Beach, and we're on left, I believe, right? Yeah, we're 2-3 left. Wow, we're really off-centered. So, what I'm going to do is turn off the autopilot. And we're going to fly this, we're going to hand fly this. So, let's take the bigger runway because we can. It's go time. This is the funnest part of the entire flight. Well, at least to me. So, here we go. Not really sure what the altitude restrictions were on here, but yeah, we have the runway in sight. Get those last notch of flaps in there. Get a good stabilized descent going. Perfect. Okay, this airport's a lot bigger than I thought. I wish the buildings and stuff would load, but I guess, you know, all we care about is the runway, right? Okay. So this is a good stabilized approach. No traffic in the area. And it looks like we're all set. Should be 2-3 left, which that aligns with our course we have set on there, so that looks good. Perfect. I wish we had like a PAPI or a VASI system here to kind of follow the glide slope, but no. Beggars can't be choosers. I thought it was. That's pretty cool. That was so smooth. That was beautiful. I mean, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I thought that was very smooth. Let's jump back out here. Oops. Let's do a little braking action here. Beautiful. And that's all you got to do. Okay, trip completed. We went all the way from Washington, D.C. down here to Virginia Beach, just on the edge of the North Carolina-Virginia border. Here, we'll throw this out just for a second here. Yeah, let's see, for even better. Beautiful. Okay, so flight is now finished. We don't really have anywhere to taxi to. Oh, stop it. All the buildings are kind of sort of gone, so yeah, we'll count that as a success. That was a good flight. I wasn't expecting it to take that long. You know, we were pushing about an hour and 30 minutes right here, but you know, it was fun, and we had time to tell a few stories and talk. And even the better thing is that I think my first live stream was, well, it didn't get disconnected. I think that was pretty much like the only reason I would say it could fail. So very happy that I have managed to hold this out for almost an hour and 30 minutes. But yeah, that is it. That was a good, successful, that was like a composite. That was a VFR and an IFR flight there, but those are always fun. Okay, well, we had a few people jumping in the live stream every now and then. I was kind of looking at the seeing who was watching and all that. So for the few people that did kind of jump in and out, do appreciate you watching. And I think this goes straight up to YouTube once it's finished as like an actual video. So you'll be able to catch, at least I think you will. I hope you will. If not, well, sorry. But yeah, that is it. Here we are at Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Oceans. It's not Ocean City, it's just Virginia Beach Airport. So we'll just kind of take up the middle because, you know, we can, and no one's gonna tell us otherwise. So, and maybe like a victory donut or something. No, it's not gonna let us. I was kind of like gonna try to like e-brake it through, but you know, that works too. And just a little more, just a little more, just a little more. And perfect. Okay, that concludes our flight. Let me go ahead and start shutting everything down here. To keep the panel lights on, nav lights, beacon goes off, and starters off. We'll turn off all of our anti-icing systems. I think that's pretty much all we can mess with now. Fuel pumps, see, prop sync, avionics master, alternators, 2, and last but not least, battery. Okay, that is it. Again, thanks guys for watching, and I will hopefully see you guys in the next video.